Hi everyone, welcome back to my garden. It's the middle of July. Things are just starting to wake up here. I'm in my side yard garden in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, zone 5B, 6A, and I wanted to show you what's happening. It's beautiful. It smells gorgeous over here, due in large part to a rose that's to my right. I'm going to show you that in a moment. But we've had a lot of setbacks here this year. We've had terrific storms that really leveled a lot of the garden. I ended up with my neighbor's trampoline in the backyard that was just, I don't know how it managed to do it, but it managed to miss some of the new trees that I put in, and it did crush a few other things that will come back. They were perennials. But we've had a lot of things happen in the garden, but gardens are resilient. They want to live, they come back. It's not always perfect. So, on that note, I want to ask you to please ignore the weeds. I've got a lot of those, but I've got a lot of good, a lot of bad, some ugly, and some meh. But that's gardening, and I'm excited to show this to you. And my side yard garden is where I'm at right now, and it's going to be super hot. So, I thought I better get out here early this morning and show you what's happening because it's beautiful, it's alive, pollinators everywhere, beautiful fragrance, due in no small part to the rose that's to my right. I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to walk through everything. And I'm so excited to show you what's happening. And also, I have a lot of updates for things that I filmed months ago, maybe even last year. So I want to show you what they look like now after I've hacked them back or whatever I've done to them. It's always great to show the follow-up so you can see proof of the outcome of what I said was going to happen in the original video. So, and all those videos will be linked below in the description. So if you want to see what those look like, what the befores look like, so you can appreciate the afters, you can check out the description and all of the links will be there. So let me flip the camera around and we will walk through it. This is my side yard garden, or part of it. So this is on the east side of my home. It gets all day sun, especially to the left there. And I want to show you this rose here. And I'll go through everything that's blooming, but this rose is incredibly fragrant. The bumbles cannot get enough of it. This is a rugosa rose, and it's probably the hardiest rose in all of my roses. Not that I have a ton of roses, but it's got the most beautiful, it's very spicy smelling and extremely tough, constantly flowering, and as you can see, the bumbles love it. But I don't give it much fertilizer. I fertilize it once in the springtime. I haven't even been too concerned about watering it like I have been my other roses. The rugosas are just tough, and I don't think I even mentioned what this is. This is one called Lottie's Love from First Edition Shrubs and Trees. But isn't she lovely? And what I love about rugosa roses is the multi-season interest. So if you follow my channel, I mention that a lot in many of my videos. And I love this rose because not only do you get, the flowers and the fragrance and then the tough disposition of a rugosa rose, but you also get the hips. So the rugosas develop these beautiful hips on them for the fall. So fall, winter interest there, and just the overall tough disposition of this rose. So, and it's rugosa rose, the rough leaves, you can see how toothy they are. And the rugosas develop, the foliage develops a beautiful, beautiful color in the fall. So you get the foliage interest as well. But look at that pollinator activity. So this is Lottie's Love, and I have a lot that I need to deadhead. Yeah, I just love watching them get the frenzy of the bumbles inside those flowers. And then just below it is the yarrow that I love. This is one called Peter Cottontail, and it sort of resembles baby's breath, but it's not. It's tough. I don't water it, and I've not provided any supplemental watering to my rugosas or the yarrow here. They really can take it. And then moving down this way is another rose. This is my sweet fragrance rose. And I'm forgetting the name of the grass below it, but that grass with this supertunia, and I'm forgetting the name of it. I will put names of all of these things on the screen. Sometimes it's hard to remember everything. There's a lot going on here. But this is a little blue stem. Look at the color on that, paired with the color of the petunias, the supertunias. And then here's another rose, and I have that positioned in front of a black lace elderberry. But this is sweet fragrance. This is another First Editions. This is an Easy Elegance rose from First Edition Shrubs and Trees. And that is Monty Blue Spruce back there, courtesy of Isley Nursery. But look at that. And the fragrance on that is lovely too. And then there's a lot going on back here. I have some Millennium Allium that are just starting to open. And I have a cluster of coneflower here and phlox that have just kind of mingled together. I need to edit out some of that Magnus coneflower. And then the orange one, I don't recall the name of it. That was a sample I'll have to look in my notes for that one. Very nice grower. And then more of the Peter Cottontail yarrow. And then back here is a phlox that, oh my gosh, it catches my eye. This is the best it's looked, and it's been here for about 3 years. So it's that whole sleep, creep, leap thing is true. And this is one called Kapow Pink. Very fragrant. Let me get you closer to it. Isn't that gorgeous? Pollinators love it. It's tough. I don't experience any powdery mildew on it, which is pretty common for phlox in general. And then I also need to deadhead this spirea. This is, oh gosh, why am I forgetting the name of it? I'll put it on the screen, but look at the new foliage on this one. It's red, and the flowers, I need to cut the flowers back, but it's lovely. All right, gonna spin you around really quick, but first, check out my kindred spirit oak. Keeps going. It's love and life right here. This is a great small space oak tree, about 5 feet wide and about, what is it, 20 to 25 feet? No, maybe it's even more than that, 30 feet tall. But I will link to that video when I planted that several years ago. But this is the other view of this. So let's walk this way. This side of the garden is where you'll find my Japanese maples as well. So they do best morning sun, afternoon shade. So I've got my Tamukiyama cutleaf maple here. And that one needs a haircut. I need to get after that. But then as I move further this way, to the left is Pycnanthemum mudicum, mountain mint. And I've got a good amount of bindweed mixed in there, so I need to get after that too. That's been my nemesis in the garden. I've always got bindweed out of control, but another mountain mint is another pollinator-friendly thing. I get a lot of questions on it, like how do you keep it under control? So far, I've not had too much spread. It's behaved itself, and I have it directly across on this side too, just beyond this arborvitae here. And it's doing well. But listen, that's that Lottie's love again. Let me listen to that. Okay, I love that plant. So moving this way, on the left-hand side here is a oak leaf hydrangea, and it's called Jetstream. So this was planted last year, and it was super tiny, and it has really filled in nice. And it gets morning sun, afternoon shade. I've got some perennial geranium beneath it, and then some black scallop pechuga. Lots of weeds I need to get in here and take care of that. And then above that is, I'm a Sesame Street kid, so I had to have Big Bird daylily. Look at the flowers on Big Bird, and it's fragrant. I love it. So even if you don't like daylilies, I mean, I certainly can appreciate it for this part of the garden and how easy they are and how pretty they look even after they flower. They've got that fountain-like growth habit. So really a nice part of the garden. And directly across from it is Obedient Plant, and just started to open. This is the pink form, and I'll put the names of everything on here if I don't say which varieties they are specifically. But when my kids were little, I have another variety called Miss Manners, and it's the white form. And you can move the flower around, and they'll stay in that direction, whichever direction you want them in. But another very pollinator-friendly plant, and I have that at the front of the border, directly in front of my Iceberg Alley willow. And then in front of the Obedient Plant, I have a coneflower that I absolutely love, and I've not had a whole lot of luck. I had many of them planted here, and only one came back, but I'm hopeful that this will get bigger and I can divide it. This is a Sunseeker variety called Sunseeker Salmon. Isn't that pretty? I love the pinked edge on this coneflower. And then back here in the back of the border, the tall plant next to the trellis here is a Rudbeckia. It's Rudbeckia maxima, also called Dumbo's ears. And this is another great front of the border plant, although I have it in the back of the border here, because it gets this beautiful blue-green basal foliage, and then the stems get super tall. So it's a great see-through plant. And then coming around this way, the back corner, so those are those Greenwell Spire crabapple trees. And then directly in front of it is Diamond Rouge panicle hydrangea. And give it another year, maybe two, and I expect that that will be full size. But what I love about this form, so there's, there are panicle hydrangeas that have tighter growth habits, tighter flower heads. I don't particularly care for them so much. I like this loose growth habit. It just looks more natural to me, and I just think it's got a lacier look. And it's got the red stems on it, so that's where the Diamond Rouge comes from, and it turns beautiful colors in the late summer, fall. So that's Diamond Rouge. And then directly behind it are a couple different varieties of daylilies that are just starting to open. And I probably planted those. Those are original to my garden, so those are probably over 20 years old. I've divided them, shared them around. Their Cherry Cheeks is one variety, and then, something melon. I'm forgetting it, but I was playing off throat color on that. So the Cherry Cheeks has a cantaloupe colored. You know what? Let me just take you around the back, and then we'll come back to this. But when I'm thinking about daylilies, and I don't have a lot of them, but I was playing off of, when they came into flower and planting varieties that would complement each other. So I've got this. Oh, this is Egyptian spice. That's what this is. So Egyptian spice is the color of the throat on the Cherry Cheeks, and I wish there was one in flower. Let's see here. This is Cherry Cheeks here. So you can kind of see that the throat on that is that melon color, the same melon color as the Egyptian spice, and it's they bloom at the same time. So that's the back view, and you can see over on the left there, that's more of the mountain mint, Pycnanthemum muticum. So I'm just going to give you the back side of this border as well. It's a great pollinator plant. I have a lot of Verbena bonariensis, which just, if you have it in your garden, you're always going to have it in your garden. Then let's come back around. And so this is Tiantian, the Seven Suns flower, which is looking fabulous. I limbed it up a little bit because it was really choking out on the bottom, so you couldn't see the sprabless on the bottom. And looks great. And so this is a Rudbeckia. I have a couple different types of Rudbeckia in the garden. This was one called American Gold Rush, this here. And it's just starting to open. Very pollinator friendly. And then directly behind that, this little tuft of kind of lilac pink, that is an Agastache. I am so thrilled that came back. That is a variety called Rosy Posy. I've not had a lot of luck with Agastache in my garden. And this one came back here. I put it in 3 different spots in the garden. It came back in 2 of the spots. And I think the challenge for Agastache is if it's too wet in the wintertime, which is kind of the kiss of death for everything. If it's too wet in the wintertime, it's going to struggle. So this is a dry spot as well as another spot in the garden which dries out well in the wintertime. And I think that's been the secret sauce for Rosy Posy Agastache. I've got a yarrow here. I've got a lot of deadheading to do too. But let's come back this way and I'll show you the other side. So see what I mean? This Verbena bonariensis. I pulled a lot out, so I let some come into flower. Really nice see-through plant, but there's a lot of verbena around the base there that I need to pull out because I don't want all of that verbena. But look at that texture, the sprabless there beneath the Seven Suns flower tree. And then I have a couple double scoop coneflower varieties. I think this one might be, maybe it's raspberry. And then I've got the watermelon over here. And I also am kind of torn with what to do with this here. So this shrub is a quince. This is a white quince. And it's suckering. And it's suckering and it doesn't look right for this spot. It's kind of taken over. And I have other things that I'd like to put there. I just don't know what I want to do with the quince. I hate to get rid of a very healthy shrub, but it just kind of swallows up this spot. And where this is a very like mid to late summer border, the quince is flowering in the springtime and then it's done. So right now it's just very, very green. And I'm feeling like I could make better use of that space, but I need to relocate the quince. So that is the side yard garden Oh, I've got a little bit more. Let me turn it this way so you get the full view there. Plenty of Magnus coneflower. And then this is the original Rudbeckia that I put in here. This is Goldsturm, and it's got the black spot issues that the Goldsturm develops. So I've got a couple other different varieties that don't develop that, but this is done well here for right now. Eventually it will get black and dry out and not look so great, but so far so good. Oh, there's that little rabbit that has been living in my garden and thriving. You little stinker. So this is the front of the house, and you might remember last fall I planted the Crimson Spire oak off to the right there, and then I underplanted it with the apricot drift roses. I've got a couple different varieties of salvia, annual salvia in the garden. This is mystical salvia. I'll put it on the screen. But you can see it already had its first flush, the apricot drift roses did. And then I surrounded them with, the Monarch Magic ageratum. And if we go a little closer, it's early in the morning and I already have a monarch butterfly on it. They can't resist it. All right, backing up. So that is the front of the border. And it's looking so beautiful. And this is a coneflower. Gosh, I wish I could remember the names of these all of these things. It'll go up on the screen. But I planted this rose here. This is a rose called Ruffled Romance. And it was sent to me. I did a video on it, so you'll find that below. It's new for 2026, and it was bare root. Planted it about 6 weeks ago. Look at that. I mean, bare root plants always establish faster anyway, but it's already flowering. And look at that giant sticker bush back there. Is that what it's called, a sticker bush? No, it's not. That's just what my kids always call them. But that is Ruffled Romance. Fragrant, great front of the border, small space rose, 3x3, but it is a grafted rose. All right, so that's what's happening in the front here. And this is the view going into the backyard. And to the right, I planted those flowerful hydrangea arborescens last spring. Look at the size of those, you guys. Oops, look at that. That's remarkable for a shrub that's just been planted. They're about, I'd say, just over 2.5 feet tall, not quite 3. But that's flowerful. And I should mention, too, that I don't have a drip irrigation system. I water it if it's going to be really hot. I'll give them a good long drink and just set the hose at the base around the drip line and move the hose around as I need to. But flowerfuls, I can really vouch for their drought tolerance, and even after only being in the garden for a year, look at that. And I underplanted them with I Love Zinnias, and this is an All-America selection. This is part of the Profusion series. This is called Profusion Cherry Bicolor. And I love using annuals to fill in around plants that are immature to kind of take up space, because then weeds can't grow, and it looks so much better with some flower color there, compared to if it was just mulch. And let me show you this container here. I love my succulent containers. My containers haven't been so great this year, but this is Skyscraper Senecio with some lemon coral sedum and crown of thorns. Now the sedum is really choking out the crown of thorns, but that's okay. Live and learn. But that Skyscraper Senecio is about to flower too. Isn't that gorgeous? Got some dahlias. That reminds me, I need to tie up my dahlias. I've been pretty good about that too. That was one of my resolutions for this year, is to be more on top of tying my the tall things to stakes, because I've been burned a couple years in a row now forgetting to tie things up, and they get mowed down by high wind. Not this year. I've been determined. Then here I've got a coneflower that I love. It was sent to me by my friend. This is Pink Poodle, and with more mountain mint in the back and some salvia. There's some roses back there. And then I want to show you, this is a new addition as well. This is another coneflower from Terra Nova Nursery. I'll put the name of it on the screen. Look at the neat, unique flower head on that. It's like a pincushion. And I've got some crazy daisy. I love Shasta daisies, and I wanted to put some crazy daisy Shasta daisies in here. So that's what those look like. Those are brand new to the garden, so they look kind of lanky, but they'll be even better next year. And then I've got another container here at the entrance, some colocasia and coleus, which is always a great combination. It's looking good. So that is the front of the garden. And I think this year is like the year of the salvia. I've used salvia, different types of salvia in different parts of the garden, annual salvia in different parts of the garden to fill space. It's better to have a flower there than just have mulch or bare soil and have even more weeds. But I can't believe how early in the morning it is, and the monarchs are already after this stuff. I shouldn't say I'm surprised, but it's beautiful. All right, let's go underneath the maple tree. So this is my autumn blaze maple, which is one of my most challenging places to grow anything for the most part. But so far, this is what's worked. And like I said, I don't do any supplemental watering. There's no drip irrigation. I come out here and water certain things, like any evergreens that are under here. And I was seriously considering cutting out or digging out my Invincible lace hydrangeas. They're a lace cap hydrangea arborescens, which is here. And then all of a sudden, I feel like they heard me and they're like, okay, we better get it together. But look at, this is Invincible lace. And I think they look great. And now I'm feeling like I need to extend this and maybe wrap a few more. I only put 3 in back here maybe 4 years ago. So they've been here for a little while, but I have been very, very diligent about watering these guys because they have really struggled to get to this height. It's tough growing underneath an established tree. You have to be on the ready with the hose, plant them high, so I give them a bit of a mound to grow in when I'm planting them, and plant smaller plants. I go very small just to make it easier to dig, but Invincible lace is incredibly pollinator friendly, and there's nothing on them right now, but this type of flower head, the fertile flowers, are all of those little itty-bitty guys in the center, and that's where you'll see the pollinators. And then the infertile flowers are the ones that extend on the outside, the big white ones. I love the texture of this plant. So they get to stay. I really like how they've been performing. And then over to the right is another type of phlox. I think this is Kapow pink again, just in another spot. But again, dry shade, no supplemental watering, gets morning sun, afternoon shade. A little bit of sun in the late afternoon, I would say. And no powdery mildew. It loves it. Okay, and then I want to show you another coneflower that came back well for me. It's another from the Sunseeker series, and it's the lime green one, which it looks great. It looks so pretty, and I planted it deliberately to complement a red drift rose that I have here on the right. But this is Sunseeker green. I'm not sure if that's the actual name. I'll put it on the screen, but that's one of the Sunseekers, and it's very happy there. All right, let's head toward the back. Look at that butterfly. So if you're looking for a great filler plant, an annual, look for Monarch Magic Ageratum. Great plant. Drought tolerant, pollinator friendly, constantly in flower, all the things, low maintenance, perfect. All right, now heading into the backyard. Ignore some of this because it's a jungle. It's really, really wild. But I want to show you, if you remember a few months ago, I planted the microclover. Look at how it filled in, you guys. I have to do some weeding in there, but it really filled in nice. We've been very preoccupied with the pergola, though. We've had a lot of rot on it, so we power washed it. My husband repaired some patches in it, the soft spots. We're hoping to get another year or two out of it. We'll see. But we painted it, and I love the way it turned out. It's beautiful. But I'm going to turn around, and I can't wait to show you this Rose of Sharon because I've always had to have a Rose of Sharon in my garden, and this is pink chiffon. Look at that. And to the right there is banana cream 2, leucanthemum or daisy. But this is Pink Chiffon Rose of Sharon. Look at that flower. And then backing up, I rearranged some things in here. I wanted to put in the lavender lady mangave that I've had under grow lights since last fall. So I dropped that in with some alyssum. There's some calamintha nepeta in there, some colocasia. That's a little lime hydrangea that is going to be popping in the next couple weeks. And lots of weeds. And probably my most favorite canna. So this canna here is a variety it's a Canova from the Canova series called Bronze Peach. Let me get out of the frame, but I love it for not only the flower, but look at the foliage on that. And I've got another hydrangea arborescens in there, some salvia, a dahlia, coleus. It's just a hodgepodge of things, and that's the way I like to garden. I love mixing so many different things together and just seeing what happens. And that is the west side of the pergola. So let's come around the back and I'll show you what's happening over here. All right, so also before I do that, straight ahead, there's a quickfire hydrangea here. And then my favorite daylily is one called Salome Double Classic, and it's nearing the end of its flowering, but it's a lower growing one, extremely fragrant, very pollinator friendly. But check out the elderberry bush behind it. That is black lace elderberry. And if you remember back in the winter, like late winter, early spring, I hacked this thing back to nothing. So granted, cutting it back the way I did, it won't produce any flowers, but I'm not growing this for the flowers. I'm growing it for the texture and the foliage color. But look at that. It's probably maybe 9 feet tall in the back corner of the garden. So you can hack these guys back and they do respond and they deliver. But imagine when the quickfire hydrangea fills in next to that, and the Salome Double Classic daylily. I've got another daylily just beyond it. That is a very old variety called Hyperion, and very, very fragrant as well. Okay, now let me show you what's going on back here. Sorry, I don't mean to make you dizzy, but let's step back. Now this phlox here is a phlox called Ultraviolet, and I've got my positioning wrong. This is a new Rudbeckia in front of it. So this is the Ultraviolet phlox, and then this is the new Rudbeckia from Proven Winners called Treasure Trove. And I put this in front of it, and I feel like I need to swap those two positions. And then directly behind it, I've got a Stand By Me clematis. So I need to move the phlox. Look at that flower. So that's Ultraviolet. And then this is the Treasure Trove Rudbeckia that is just starting to open up. And then backing up here. Oh, I didn't show you this. So I'm really into succulent containers lately. I did several last year as well. But I keep them under grow lights, the succulents, for the winter time, and then make my arrangements in whatever I feel like making them in, and they look gorgeous. So look at that burro's tail hanging down. So I've got the Thriller, I think that might be Inkblot, Mangave, fillers, I've got Echeveria in there, I've got some lemon coral sedum, and then the spiller is my burro's tail, if you follow that design recipe. And then just behind it is another Agastache, might be Be Mine Nectarine. It's a Proven Winners variety, but forgot all about it back there. And then this year it just decided it was going to do something. Another very pollinator-friendly plant. And then right here, and this has gotten massive, this is Evening Rose hibiscus. So looking healthier than it's ever looked. All right, now let me take you around. So that's the pergola. I've got some tidying up to do there. But let's come around this way. I want to show you something that's kind of curious back here. So the yellow flowers, those are my Sunfinity sunflowers. And the one in the center is very tiny. So originally I thought I was buying 3 Sunfinities. But note to self that next year I will buy them when they're in flower, because I want to see exactly what I'm getting, because I ended up with one of the doubles, which is this guy here. This is what I wanted. That is my favorite of the Sunfinity series. And then the other two were singles. Well, the single that was in the middle died back, so I found a replacement for it at Walmart for $5. And then look at this one. This one's dying now. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm hoping Walmart still has a few left. Oh, and then the hummingbird and the salvia. I can't resist salvia. So if you want hummingbirds, guys, get some salvia in here. These are annual salvia. I think that is blue suede shoes back there. Pollinator, hummingbird magnet for sure. But as I was saying about the Sunfinity sunflowers, I don't know what's going on, but this one's on the outs too, so I'm going to have to find another replacement for it because I absolutely love the Sunfinity doubles. And then behind that are more cannas, and I love working in cannas and anything big leafed into my borders. I just think it adds an element of drama, and it makes the space feel even bigger than it really is. This is another variety from Proven Winners called Toucan Coral. So always in flower, and they're very drought tolerant. I mean, get them started, water them in well, keep them watered until they start getting established, and I drop in some slow release fertilizer at planting time, and look at how beautiful they are. And provided you just keep deadheading, I mean, that's the secret to success with flowers, with the garden in general, keeping things coming along. But it's beautiful. Okay, so then one of my first to bloom dahlias, I've got this one blooming here, and I got everything labeled down below. I keep the tags in with the plants so I know what's what. And then I've got another new variety from Terra Nova Nursery, coneflower. I love yellow, you guys. I love the shape of this flower too. Look at that. And it's a great front of the border one. I think this one gets maybe 15 inches tall. So they sent me 3 of a few different varieties. Such a great little flower. And there's some Angelina sedum down here, and the blue suede shoes salvia, little spires Perovskia. And then I found a match. So last year I planted one of the all the rage roses over on that side, but I couldn't find another one. This year I found another one, and it looks great. It was quite small, but look at how this is filled in. Very fragrant. And I love it because it's constantly changing color as the flower matures. And this is a full sun all day long exposure. And I've got some more blue stem. I absolutely love the different varieties of blue stem. I think this might be Standing Ovation. I can't remember. Gosh, I'm really doing bad with these names today, but that's okay. I'll put everything up for you. Now, I had a Rosy Posy agastache over there by the coneflower. That one died, but the one over here is loving life. So this is Rosy Posy here, just starting to open, not as far along as the one I showed you in the side yard garden, but living the dream here with some drops of Jupiter oregano, ornamental oregano, and all of these plants, no drip irrigation, so they have to be able to survive an all day long exposure, and they do. I will offer some supplemental watering to the roses and the dahlias, but everything else is on their own. And the poppies here, these are breadseed poppies. I didn't plant these this past winter, so these are from 2 years ago, and I totally forgot about them. And then here they come, and I love that seed head. I've got some more little spire Perovskia. Got some more Russian sage in there. And then that's where that other all the rage rose is back there. And the bunny just decimated that guy. I thought it was curtains for it, but it's come back. I've kept it watered, really kind of babied it, and it's done well. And I've got some Verbena bonariensis that's coming in through here too. I leave a few up. They're easy to weed out. They can be very weedy, but they're easy to take out. But they give a lot of movement, and just another great see-through plant. Okay, coming around this way. So this is the other Rudbeckia back here. This is one of the original Rudbeckias in my garden as well. This one is called Viette's Little Susie, and that's the earliest blooming one for me. And it too never develops any of the leaf spot issues of a variety like Goldsturm. Very, very reliable. I've got my favorite coleus back there. That's Wicked Witch. And then the Oscar Peterson roses have been doing great. Those I planted last spring, so I've got 2 back here. Very fragrant, another very pollinator friendly single rose. I love single roses. Now I'm a little disappointed with this trio of dahlias back here. This was supposed to be my favorite variety called David Howard. It's not David Howard. David Howard has very, very dark foliage, and I was looking forward to that because I thought the dark foliage would be a beautiful play off of the white Oscar Peterson roses and then the blue suede shoes, or maybe, I can't remember what salvia that is, but I thought it would be a beautiful trio. And they sent me something other than David Howard. They're pretty, but it's not David Howard. And then I've got some white salvia here, annual white salvia. And then the lavender bubbles, allium, is going to pop pretty soon, maybe a few more weeks. And this geranium here is on the outs as far as flowering, but this is Boom Chocolata geranium, and that foliage is spectacular. And as soon as the flowers are all gone, I'll cut it back and it'll have the most perfect mounds of deep colored foliage. Really a stellar perennial, very low maintenance. Get a lot of bang for your buck with this one. And before I show you the back corner, which is kind of a mess, but it's a work in progress, I want to show you back here. So if you remember back in the winter time, if you follow my channel, right back here, that is my Catinus or Royal Purple Smokebush. I hacked this guy back. And I did have to put some stakes in it because we've had some horrific storms that leveled this because the wind just whipped through here. But look at how it fills in all the way from the base. Big, beautiful purple leaves. Very shiny, very glossy leaves. And when the sun is hitting it, it just glows. So I've done a lot of rearranging back here because we lost the pussy willows in the back corner last fall. So I've transplanted things, moved a lot of things around. I built a little rock wall. My neighbor was giving away all of her flagstone. They were having a new patio put in and she was getting rid of it and she said, you could have it. So I created a little hardscaping to frame out this spot back here. And then the drift roses, the scarlet drifts that I planted a few videos ago, look at how they filled in, you guys. Look at that flower. They are just going for it. So I've got a lot of bare space back here, plenty of work to do, but I'm not in a rush. I like to take my time and really think things through and put things in that I genuinely want to have. And it's really coming along beautifully. Oh, one other thing, I want to show you this shady part of the garden. So that is the Jack Frost Northwind maple from Isley. Years ago, they sent me that as a little stick. But I thought for sure my Musa Baju or Hardy Banana had just bit the dust. But all of a sudden, in the last couple of weeks, look, I have one trunk coming up right through the middle of my Sun King Aurelia. And I don't have the heart to pull it out. So I'm going to let it be. But that is my little shade garden. A lot of things got moved around. I originally had, this is Sum and Substance hosta back here, and it looks pretty gnarly. But Sum and Substance needs some sunlight to do anything. So it was originally back in this corner where you see that blue hosta there. And I decided to take the blue hosta out from where it was, which is where the Sum and Substance was replanted, put the blue hosta there, and then, because it was burning in the sun, this was just too much for it. And I put the Sum and Substance here. And I think next year it'll have a better year and it's going to look beautiful in this spot. So that's my mid-July garden, warts and all. And that's been kind of the hard part sometimes, is trying to overlook the weeds, because I have that perfectionist attitude where, oh gosh, I got to get rid of that weed before I film. And I'm just done with that. I'm just going to show you what I've got, because weeds are part of a garden life. And sometimes you can't always get to all of it, but you can still appreciate the beauty that is growing among them. And eventually you get rid of the weeds. So I hope you've enjoyed the tour. If you liked the video, please throw up a like, subscribe, and hit that little bell so you never miss a post, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.